Alright, in this video I talk about Charge Blade for 5 minutes. Alright, let's go over some basic things with Charge Blade. You get a 10% damage buff by having a charged axe for all axe attacks, so I think it's worth it. ED1, you get 1 file hit. ED2, you get 2 file hits. ED2 has 2 motion value hits, so it's 1 file hit per each motion value, so that's 2. 1 times 2 is 2. AD, you get 2 file hits for a single motion value hit. AD2, you get 3 file hits for a single motion value hit. And the file damage that I got was 12 damage. I'm going to leave SAD out of the calculation because 1, it's not really viable for high level gameplay, and you have to test every single variation for different file number combinations, depending on how much files you actually have. So, but for all intents and purposes, just ignore SAD. It's not that good. All right, so let's look at this right here. Number of ticks you get for each Savage Axe hit. So this is how the attack is modified. In general, the easy way to think about it is for every Savage Axe hit, you get 4 ticks of damage. And each tick, at least for the current weapon build that the game gives you, is 13 damage. And that applies for the Y attacks too, like all the Y attacks. Rising, overhead, dash slam, and all the fade slashes. Again, if you engage in Savage Axe by holding that button down when you do the attack, you will do all these ticks, which can only be done when you're in Savage Axe mode. So how much damage is that? Well, let's calculate it right now. So 12.9 times 4, 51.6. So you land all the ticks, which is actually not that hard to do, really. You get 51.6 damage for free. That's insane. That's crazy. And this is the reason why Savage Axe is so strong. It's just a lot of hits, a lot of damage. There's just nothing more to say. Now, there's one big problem with Charge Blade right now, and it's this move right here. ED2, and here's the reason why it's too good. So ED2 is 2 consecutive hits, and you can only do it after ED1, but in ED2, because you have 2 consecutive hits, you get a total of 8 Savage Ticks instead of 4, because it's 4 times 2 equals 8. Not only that, you get a File Blast for each hit of the 2 hits, so that's 12 times 2, that's another 24 damage. So you can see ED2 does 85.9 for the 2 motion value hits, plus 24 for the file hits, plus 52 for the Savage Axe ticks. That's 161.9 damage for a single move. That's actually absolutely insane. Like, it's not the fastest move, but it's still like 161 damage. That's like about 1/3 of the damage of a boulder. That's about the 1/3 of a damage of a boulder drop. Now, the situation gets even worse. So let's actually look at the DPS here. All right, so I collected a lot of data on DPS and time data, and here's one big glaring issue that should stand out to you, and that's this big bar right here. And can you guess what that is? That's ED1, ED2 using Savage Axe ticks. Now you can see for all of the axe attacks, the DPS is actually significantly increased when you go to Savage Axe. For example, ED1 is about 20 DPS. ED1 with the Savage Axe mode enabled goes up to 40. That's a 100% increase in damage. That's absolutely insane. Now if we do the biggest combo, ED1, ED2, that's 40 DPS, and then if you convert it to its Savage Axe form with the file text included, by the way, that's 80 damage. Again, it's a 100% damage increase. You're literally doing twice as much damage by just doing Savage Axe hits. Now, we will have to see in the final game how that damage scales, how the file ticks scale, as well as the Savage Axe ticks scale. It could very well be the case that it could only be this strong in early game, and late game, the scaling doesn't actually increase as much as the actual motion values with your raw attack. So, it remains to be seen. But for now, it just does too much damage. Not only that, there's actually a big problem I actually don't have a problem with it doing a lot of damage, but I do have a problem with it doing more damage than other things that should be doing more damage. And Capcom, if you want me to test your game, I'll do it for free, maybe, I don't know. Just give me some nice memorabilia or something, or souvenirs or something, I don't know. I don't really care. But anyways, the main issue I have is that the new combo that Capcom introduced into Charge Blade, AED into AED2, which you can see right here, it does less damage than ED1 to ED2. It's almost half the DPS of ED1, ED2, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is it takes longer to do than ED1 and ED2. See, look at the time data here. ED1 AED1, AED2, 4 seconds. AED to AED2, 5.5 seconds. Now, when you take more time to do and you do less damage, that's absolutely bad. That's like a double whammy. There's no business why it's like that. And I know the reason why it's like that. It's because the windup on AED takes too much time and you don't get enough out of it. I actually know how to fix this, to be honest. You can fix this by backloading the damage onto AED2. So you can actually keep the damage on AED. Honestly, I would actually buff AED a little bit because the motion value and the ticks that you get from it need to be a little bit higher for the amount of windup that you do. Again, that's the significant portion of the reason why it takes so long to do AED and why it's gimping its DPS currently. There's a couple ways you can do this to buff AED. You can just buff the Savage Axe ticks. Right now in the current build, as we go back here, you can see all the Savage Axe ticks all do 13 damage no matter what axe attack you're doing. So you could say, okay, AED, Savage Axe ticks do more damage. just put it up to like 18 or something like that instead of 13. Maybe even 20. I don't know. It's your game to balance, Capcom. One way you can do it too is also backload, like say 60% of the damage of that combo of the AED1 to AED2 combo onto AED2. So, you know, if you just do AED by itself, it's not worth it. But then if you could get that AED2 off because it is a combo action out of AED, you can just buff the damage there. So you just throw in more damage on AED2 with the Savage ticks, maybe even the File ticks if you're feeling brave, Capcom. The motion value, maybe add 2 motion values to AED2. I don't know, do whatever the hell you want. Right now it's not good. It needs something. And this is kind of a shame because I actually like the way AED2 looks. I like the fact that you have you can do something out of AED and you don't have to do something like Super AED where it forces you back into Sword and Shield mode. So it's kind of a nice follow-up to AED, but you can stay in Axe mode. One thing I do wish for AED2, however, just ignoring damage for a second, is I wish there was some natural combo chain that you could go out of it. So you can kind of do like a Rising Slash, which is just a Y button out of AED2. You also can kind of do a ED1 follow-up after AED2, but it doesn't flow from AED2. So it's not a continuous combo. It's kind of like the AED2 recovery is just really good. And those moves can sort of cancel like maybe 10 to 20% of the recovery AED2. It's not like a true combo, if you know what I mean. The reason why I would prefer that to be added as a combo chain to AED2 is so that you can loop it. So even though you can get AED2 off and you still have some time, you can loop another move in to just maintain a DPS. But the biggest issue is fixing the damage on AED1 and AED2. There's no reason your new exclusive capstone move that's new to the game has no business being used in any sort of meaningful way because it just doesn't do enough damage and takes too long to do. Okay. Another thing I want to talk about too, and I actually kind of want to reserve this for a different video because it actually affects all weapons, but it's the inclusion of focus mode in the game and the fact that focus mode has nearly infinite rotational capabilities, which are not present in non-focus mode. People have been covering this subject, and I'm one who does not like to over-exaggerate things, especially on this channel. Like people, you know, if you watch my videos, they're very mellow and very level-headed takes. Unfortunately, for Monster Hunter Wilds, focus mode pretty much breaks the game. If you're not using focus mode, you're not playing optimally. You are putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. With focus mode, not only focus mode, but using focus mode with mouse and keyboard or with a controller that has back paddle buttons. If you are not doing those, you are playing at a severe disadvantage. Now, why am I bringing that up in the Charge Blade video? The reason is because to do all of these axe moves and to do them very consistently, you must use focus mode to maintain a really high DPS. I wouldn't say you must, but you can get so much more DPS and making sure you're landing all these hits by using focus mode and making sure you're rotating in between attacks to land all the hits on the monster. And it is a lot of damage you are throwing out the window if you're not using focus mode and staying in focus mode like 90 to 95, maybe even 100% of the time. That's one thing I've been practicing on the streams, is changing my controller muscle memory to use a paddle button controller instead. And the difference is night and day, especially with Charge Blade and doing all the Savage Axe stuff. Because without focus mode and staying in focus mode for your whole time in Savage Axe mode, you can't rotate enough to make sure you land all the hits. You can't keep the combo going. It's very hard to land ED2, especially since it comes after ED1. So just wanted to throw that in for this video. Subscribe for my take on focus mode. I think I can give a very in-depth, detailed, sweaty, but very informative reason why focus mode is so good from a competitive standpoint. So subscribe if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching.